learners, I am Dr. Shweta Tripathi, Assistant Professor in Mechanical Engineering, School of Engineering and Technology, Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. I welcome you all in the MOOCs of Energy Resources and Conversion Processes. The module for today is Nuclear Energy. The learning outcome of this module is to understand nuclear energy, to know the process of nuclear energy generation, and to explore the scenario of world and Indian scenario of nuclear energy. In most of the electric power plants, water is heated and is converted into steam. This steam is used to drive a turbine generator to produce electricity. Fossil fuel power plants produce heat by burning coal, oil or natural gas, and then this heat is further used to convert water into steam. In a nuclear power plant, the fission of uranium atoms in the reactor provides the heat to produce steam for generating electricity. So here the fuel is radioactive materials like uranium, etc. Several commercial reactor designs are currently in use in the United States, and the most widely used design consists of a heavy steel pressure valve surrounding with a reactor core. This reactor core contains the uranium fuel, which is formed into cylindrical ceramic pellets and is sealed in long metal tubes which are known as fuel rods. Thousands of rods form the reactor core and heat is produced inside the nuclear reactor. When heat will be produced? Suppose this is a rod, and when neutron will strike the uranium atoms of this fuel rod, then it will cause them to split in continuous chain reactions, and these control rods, which are made of materials such as boron that absorbs neutrons, are placed among the fuel assemblies. When the neutron absorbing control rods are pulled out of the core, more neutrons become available for fission and the chain reaction speeds up and produce more heat. When they are inserted into the core, fewer neutrons are available for fission and the chain reaction then slowly slow down or stops and the heat generation process is reduced. It reduces the amount of heat generated. Heat is removed from the reactor core area by water flowing through it in a closed pressurized loop. The heat is transferred to a second water loop through a heat exchanger. The water also serves to slow down or moderate the neutrons, which is necessary for sustaining the fission reactions. The second loop is kept at considerably at lower pressure, and it allows the water to boil and create steam, which is used to power the turbine generator and is used to produce electricity. Originally, this nuclear energy was expected to be a cleaner source and cheaper as well. Nuclear fission does not produce atmospheric pollution or greenhouse gases, and its proponents expected that nuclear energy would be cheaper and will last longer than fossil fuels. But unfortunately, because of the construction cost, poor management and numerous regulations, nuclear power ended up being much more expensive than it was predicted. The nuclear accidents must have heard about 3 Mile Island in Pennsylvania, and the Chernobyl disaster you must have heard about in the Ukraine. They raised the concerns about the safety features of these nuclear power plants. Furthermore, problem of safely disposing spent nuclear fuel is unresolved till now. The United States has not built a nuclear facility since since 1979 because they have enough energy resources. But with continued energy crisis across the country, that situation may change. By the end of this 20th century, out of 438 nuclear plants worldwide, 104 were in USA and 59 are in France. These two countries have installed 50% nuclear electricity capacity. Japan is another country which produces about 12% of nuclear electricity in 43 plants which are developed in the country. Not to add new nuclear plants, and 2020 their capacity will be reduced by 8%. On the contrary, the developing countries are likely to increase it about 62 gigawatt, which is now about 27 gigawatt. Now, what are the nuclear fuels that we are going to use? These are generally radioactive materials. Nuclear fuel is the fuel that is used in a nuclear reactor to sustain a nuclear chain reaction. These fuels are fissile, and the most common nuclear fuels are the radioactive metals uranium-235 and plutonium-239. All processes involved in obtaining, refining and using this fuel make up a cycle known as the nuclear fuel cycle. We are just preparing the fuel for the fission reaction. Uranium-235 is used as fuel in different concentrations. Some reactors, such as CANDU reactors, can use natural uranium with uranium-235 concentration of only 0.7%, while other reactors require the uranium to be slightly enriched in the range of 3 to 5%. Plutonium-239 is produced and used in reactors that contain significant amount of uranium-238. It is especially used in fast breeder reactors. It can also be recycled and used as fuel in thermal reactors. Current research is being done to investigate how thorium-232 can be used as nuclear fuel. The nuclear fuels have been put in the category of non-renewable sources of energy because the nuclear materials which can be conveniently extracted from the earth are limited, and hence they will get exhausted one day. Nowadays we are not using that much nuclear power, so we have enough of the nuclear fuel. But when we are going to use them in more amount and we are going to consume them more, then they could be exhausted. Now, production. Actually, the fuel fabrication plants are having the facilities that convert enriched uranium into fuel for nuclear reactors. For light water reactors, uranium is received from an enrichment plant in solid form. Then we convert it into a gas and chemically convert it into uranium dioxide powder. This powder is then pressed into pellets and packed into fuel assemblies. A metal oxide fuel can also be created when the uranium powder is packed along with plutonium oxide. The hazards present at fuel fabrication facilities are mainly chemical and radiological and are similar to the hazards at enrichment plants. These facilities generally pose a low risk to the public because they are at a zone where there is restricted entry of public and the residential area is not nearby, commercial area is also not. Nuclear reactors are powered by powdered uranium dioxide that has been compressed into small pellets. However, a power plant requires many of these pellets to run. Thus, large number of these pellets are bundled into a fuel rod. A single uranium fuel pellet, only as big as our fingertip, contains as much energy as 481 cubic meter of natural gas. Can you imagine this much? Only a fingertip. Then it contains energy equivalent to 481 cubic meter of natural gas and 807 kg of coal and 564 liters of oil. So it generates large amount of energy compared to any other fuel. These rods are composed of numerous pellets of fissionable uranium fuel and can be several meters in length and about a centimeter in diameter. Then several of these rods, generally a dozen or more, are held together by strong metallic brackets in a fuel assembly. These rods are not bunched tightly together, rather there are several millimeters between each rod to allow coolant to flow between them. The tubes containing the pellets of uranium are generally composed of zirconium. A nuclear reactor is a system used to initiate and contain a nuclear chain reaction, as they have many other useful applications. These nuclear reactions produce thermal energy through either nuclear fission or nuclear fusion. Generally, in practice, we are using that nuclear fusion. Nuclear fusion is still in development stage. Nuclear reactors are primarily used for generation of electricity. However, they could be used for propulsion in vehicles such as submarines, naval vessels, and for production of useful isotopes or neutrons, and for research and training efforts. Nuclear reactors can be found all over the world, used in nuclear plants. Fusion reactors contribute about 11% of the world's total electricity. Although there are many different designs for fusion reactors, most consist of the same components for their operation. The difference between each type of these reactors where fusion is going on comes from the different approaches used to satisfy or meet these requirements. The basic operating principles of a nuclear reactor for the production of power are: nuclear chain reactions within the reactor produce heat, which is transferred to a coolant, and most commonly we use light water as a coolant. This coolant either boils to steam directly or heats another loop of water into steam. Then it passes through a turbine which spins a generator and produces electricity. Although the basic principles appear simple, but the process is fairly complex. Now comes nuclear fusion, which is in development stage. Nuclear fusion is a type of nuclear reaction where two light nuclei collide together to form a single. They are fused together, as the name says, they are fused together. When the two nuclei will collide to form a single, obviously they will form a heavier nucleus. This fusion results in a release of energy because the mass of the new nucleus is less than the sum of the original masses. Although it is a heavier one, mass is more, but it is not equal to the sum of the original masses. It is based on the principle of mass energy equivalence. This mass difference means that some mass that was lost has been converted into energy. For elements lighter than iron, fusion often releases energy. For elements heavier than iron, it takes energy to cause fusion to happen. In order to make elements heavier than iron, either a high energy particle beam is required or a supernova is required. Although the fusion of small atoms gives a lot of energy, initiating this process requires a significant amount of energy. This energy is needed to overcome the Coulomb repulsion that exists between the protons of the two different nuclei which are going to fuse. Hydrogen atoms must be pushed close enough together so that the strong nuclear force can overcome the Coulomb repulsion. The initial energy needed is a major factor which makes fusion difficult to achieve. There are several different types of fusion reactions, but most involve two isotopes of hydrogen known as deuterium and tritium. Some fusion reactions include proton-proton chain. What happens in this proton-proton chain? This type of fusion reaction is the one that takes place in the sun. Two pairs of proton, that is two pairs of hydrogen atoms, collide and become two atoms of deuterium. Each deuterium then combines again with a proton of hydrogen to form helium-3, which combines again and eventually forms helium-2. The next type of fusion reaction is deuterium-deuterium reaction. A pair of deuterium atoms combine to form helium-3 and the neutron. And another one is deuterium-tritium reaction. For this to occur, one atom of deuterium combines with one atom of tritium to form helium-4 and a neutron. Most of the energy released here is in the form of high energy neutron. How we are going to use this in energy generation? Currently, there are no large-scale fusion reactors that could provide energy for commercial use. This is because it has been difficult for scientists to create a controllable, non-destructive way of harnessing the energy released during this fusion process. The process of fusion is difficult to control largely because of the extreme conditions necessary for the reactions to take place. First, fusion requires both extremely high temperature to give hydrogen atoms enough energy to overcome this repulsion force between the protons. Then energy from microwaves or lasers must be used to heat hydrogen atoms to the necessary temperatures. At these temperatures, hydrogen is in a plasma state, and this plasma must be sufficiently contained for fusion to continue and safety as well. Second, high pressures are needed to squeeze hydrogen atoms close enough to fuse. This process is done by using intense magnetic fields, lasers or ion beams. For the potential nuclear energy resources, the deuterium-tritium fusion reaction is most likely because the conditions for these reactions are less extreme. Currently, the largest fusion effort is the International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor, or we call it ITER, and it is in France. This reactor began construction in 2013 and uses a confinement method known as tokamak. This tokamak provides a way to magnetically confine the hot plasma required for fusion. Now, what is the nuclear power or the scenario of this nuclear power in the world nowadays? As we know that the first commercial nuclear power station started in operation in 1950s. Nuclear energy now provides about 10% of the world's electricity from about 440 power reactors. Nuclear is the world's second largest source of low carbon power, 29% of the total in 2017. It means the source which is cleaner. Over 50 countries utilize nuclear energy in about 220 research reactors. In addition to research, these reactors are used for the production of medical and industrial isotopes as well. Civil nuclear power can now boost more than 17,000 reactor years of experience, and nuclear power plants are operational in 30 countries worldwide. In fact, through regional transmission grids, many more countries depend in part on nuclear generated power. Italy and Denmark, for example, get almost 10% of the electricity from imported nuclear power. When the commercial nuclear industry began in the 1960s, there were clear boundaries between the industries of the East and West. Today, the separate American and Soviet spheres no longer exist, and the nuclear industry is characterized by international commerce. A reactor under construction in Asia today may have components supplied from South Korea, Canada, Japan, France, Germany, Russia, and other countries. Similarly, uranium from Australia or Namibia may end up in the reactor in the UAE, having been converted in France, enriched in the Netherlands, deconverted in the UK, and fabricated in South Korea. The uses of nuclear technology extend well beyond the provision of low carbon energy. It helps control the spread of disease, assist doctors in their diagnosis and treatment of patients, and powers out our most ambitious missions to explore space. These varied uses position nuclear technologies at the heart of the world's efforts to achieve sustainable development. Sustainability. What is sustainable development? Why we are calling it? Despite the crucial role that nuclear will need to play if the UN Sustainability Development Goals are to be achieved, there remains some opposition to the growing recognition of the energy resources credentials for contributing towards sustainable development. Basically, the nuclear energy's competitive position from a sustainable development perspective is robust. Why? Because of its energy density and internalization of the health and environment. Using nuclear energy brings multiple sustainability advantages over available alternatives, explaining its expanded role in almost all major studies that outline plausible pathways towards sustainable energy provision. An analysis of nuclear energy's characteristics within a sustainable development framework shows that the approach adopted within the nuclear energy sector is consistent with a central goal of sustainable development of passing a range of assets for future generations while minimizing environmental impact and burden. As we know that the United Nations recognize the climate change as the most systematic threat to humankind. As such, addressing it is generally considered the most significant and urgent sustainability challenge. Climate change is resulting from increasing concentrations of carbon dioxide in the Earth's atmosphere. The 3/4 of the anthropogenic carbon dioxide emissions result from the burning of fossil fuels for energy. The main focus should be on energy technologies that emit only small amounts of carbon dioxide per unit of energy. On a life cycle basis, nuclear power emits just few grams of carbon dioxide equivalent per kilowatt hour of electricity produced. If we go for the value, 12 gram carbon dioxide equivalent per kilowatt hour has been estimated for nuclear, similar to wind and lower than all types of fuel. And this majority of the carbon dioxide emission that is coming from the life cycle analysis of nuclear power plants stems from cement and steel production and component manufacturing during construction. Now, what is the Indian scenario of this nuclear power plant? In India, nuclear energy development began with the objectives of peaceful uses of atomic energy in improving the quality of life for us and to achieve self-reliance in meeting the energy needs. The commercial nuclear power program started in 1969 with the operation of TAPS 1 and 2. BWR type of reactor was used, and it currently shares about 3% of country's installed capacity, thus playing a complementary role in meeting the country's energy demand However, in long term, it is expected to play a significant role in meeting the huge electricity demand of the country. Incidentally, India is not a very energy resource rich country, so we have to switch for the alternative energy sources. Currently, the India's energy resource base status suggests the optimal mix of all the available energy resources to meet its growing demand of electricity, which is projected to be about 800 gigawatt by 2032 and 1300 gigawatt by 2050. The Indian nuclear programs were conceived based on unique sequential three-stage and associated technologies, essentially to aim at optimum utilization of the indigenous nuclear resource profile of modest uranium and abundant thorium resources. This sequential three-stage program is based on a closed fuel cycle. The closed fuel cycle thus multiples manifold the energy potential of the fuel and greatly reduces the quantity of waste generated. In the first stage, which comprised of pressurized heavy water reactors, which was fueled by natural uranium. Do you know the natural uranium contains only 0.7% of uranium-235, which undergoes fission to release energy around 200 MeV per atom. The remaining 99.3% comprises uranium-238, which is not at all fissile. However, it is converted in the nuclear reactor to fissile element Pu plutonium-239. In the fission processes, among other fission products, a small quantity of plutonium-239 is formed by transmutation of uranium-238. In second stage, fast breeder reactors are fueled by mixed oxide of uranium-238 and plutonium-239. It is recovered by reprocessing of the first stage spent fuel. In FBR, plutonium-239 undergoes fission, producing energy and producing plutonium-239 by transmutation of uranium-238. Thus, the fast breeder reactors produce energy and fuel and hence termed as breeders. Fast breeder reactors produce more fuel than they consume. Over a period of time, plutonium inventory can be built up by feeding uranium-238. India currently has 21 operating nuclear reactors at 6 locations across the country, and their combined capacity totaling to 5.8 gigawatt. Its civil nuclear strategy has proceeded largely without fuel or technological assistance from other countries for more than 30 years. The government has set ambitious targets to grow nuclear capacity. In December 2011, the Indian Parliament was informed that nuclear power targets were set at 14.6 gigawatts by 2020 and 27.5 gigawatts by 2032. This is a reflection of the fact that India currently has 5 nuclear reactors under construction, all due to finish by 2017, which would add 3.8 gigawatts, raising the total capacity to 9.6 gigawatts. The government's plan for nuclear to generate 25% electricity by 2050 could need between 150 gigawatt and 200 gigawatt of installed nuclear capacity. Because India is outside the nuclear non-proliferation treaty due to its weapon program, it was for 34 years largely excluded from trade in nuclear plant and materials, which hampered its development of civil nuclear energy until 2009. Due to earlier trade bans and lack of indigenous uranium, India has uniquely been developing a nuclear fuel cycle to exploit its reserves of thorium. Since 2010, fundamental incompatibility between India's civil liability law and international conventions limit foreign technology provision as well. Let us summarize whatever we have discussed. We have discussed the generation of nuclear energy, which is mainly by the fusion reaction. The nuclear power generation due to fusion reaction is still under development. The nuclear fuel that are used for these nuclear power plants are radioactive material. Generally, we are using uranium, plutonium and thorium. Fission and fusion reactions are also discussed, and the contribution of nuclear energy in meeting the energy demand in India and across the world is also discussed. Thank you very much.